Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. It has been a little bit. Apologies. I did mention, if you are a follower of the channel, first of all, thank you, that I was traveling a bit. I was unsure if I would be able to get out a Patriots versus Jets recap. Thankfully, I was not, because that was a disgusting 15-10 loss, and then also was not able to get the preview for you with the Chiefs-Jets. But we got the recap of the Chiefs-Jets game, and so much has changed over the last week that I think the Pats recapping a game a week ago is not even worth it. In between that, the Jets signed Trevor Siemian. The loud noise between this, hey, he is a handsome man. Zach Wilson was very loud of the rumblings. A lot has changed. Yep, it might be an overreaction to 1 week, but I think it's a lot of positive signs. We'll get into that. But before we do, please subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, like the video. If you've actually liked it, you could follow me on X and Instagram at TurnUpJets, all one word. All of my channels or social media platforms are at TurnUpJets, all one word. And oh yeah, I'm Joe Skirto, your host as always, aka Turn Up the Jets. Really appreciate you tuning in. Did miss talking to you all, so gonna dive into the Jets versus Chiefs. The Chiefs defeat the Jets in a heartbreaking loss, 23-20. In MetLife Stadium last night, in a game that was just obnoxiously viewed as the Taylor Swift game. Hey, I really like Taylor Swift. Respect her as a human, respect her as an artist, but it's getting out of control. I will say I had the entire game muted at 17-0. The Jets were down 17-0, and they came all the way back. Let's just start from the beginning, because this was a roller coaster ride. At the end of the game, I had my shirt off, and I was basically sweating. Like, I felt like I played a football game. A wild amount of emotions: excited, impressed, disappointed, pissed off. I bet a lot of these Jets fans, or a lot of you Jets fans, shared the same emotions that I went through throughout the game. So I want to take a look at the statistics first. And we'll go team first. The Jets were right there with the Chiefs. This is the defending Super Bowl champions, and there is no moral victory. Am I upset? Yes, I'm very upset that the Jets are 1-3, and I'm very upset that they lost that game, because they should have and they could have won in a lot of scenarios. You could blame the refs. We'll get into that. You could blame some of the miscues, the throw to Conklin or Garrett Wilson. Either of those, maybe both could have been touchdowns. Greg Zuerlein missed a field goal that is very, uncharacteristic of him, because he is usually money, especially around the 40s to 50s. So that was disappointing. But this Jets team showed a lot of resilience, a lot of grit. They were down 17-0 like this, literally like this. You'll blink an eye, 2 minutes left in the first, it's 17-0, and it's just, wow, this is going to be a miserable game, huh? But no, the Jets battled back. First downs, the Chiefs 24-18, okay. But the Jets were 5 for 12 on third downs, and that was a huge step. Almost 50% in third downs. Coming into the week, or the game rather, they were dead last on third downs, and really, really bad the two games with the Patriots and the Cowboys. They had more first downs yesterday than they did in those two games combined. So that is something very encouraging. You got to be at least efficient on third downs. They were able to do so. They ran 57 plays to the Chiefs 66, 336 total yards. This is no slouch of a defense. The Chiefs were a top 5 defense going into this game statistically. And the Jets balled out 336 yards. Of course, the Chiefs had a lot too, 401, but it wasn't because of Patrick Mahomes. He had one of his worst games of his career, only 203 yards. He had 99 yards in the 3 quarters combined after a really hot first quarter. He threw 2 picks, could have been, should have been 3. He had a fumble. The defense was disrupting him. They both had 11 drives on offense. The Jets averaged 5.9. The Chiefs averaged 6.1. Passing yards, 228 to 197. Yeah, in favor of the Jets. Who would have known? Zach Wilson had more completions. He had more yards. He had more touchdowns, and he had less turnovers than Patrick Mahomes. That's the only quarterback to do that against Mahomes in high school, college, and in the NFL. I think that was a span of a lot of games. It was something crazy. I might have butchered that a little bit, but you get it. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen ever. Passing, Wilson was 28 for 39. He had 245 yards, 2 touchdowns. I already mentioned Mahomes, 18 for 30, 2 or 3, a touchdown, 2 picks. Rushing, Brees Hall was the leading rusher with only 6 carries, 56 yards, almost averaging a 6 yards a clip, which is very impressive. He's actually averaging over that during the year. We need to get him the ball more, but I'm not going to be complaining about that today. Pacheco was very good, probably the best player on the Chiefs offense. 20 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. He was a Jersey boy. He went to Rutgers. It was kind of a little revenge game. The Jets were efficient in the red zone. 2 for 3. The Chiefs were 0 for 4. How about that? Jets had 7 penalties. The Chiefs had 5, and the penalties, yeah, it was bad. But yeah, 17-0. And it seemed like the Jets were dead. Oh, by the way, shout out to Allen Lazard. He was the leading receiver of the game. He had 3 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown, if I remember that correctly. But when the Jets were down, it was very frustrating. Again, back-to-back games, they've had a backup tight end score a huge touchdown and just a miscommunication. I mean, just a debacle play. They have to stop that. They did the same shit last season against the Lions, which sealed the deal. So I think they have to figure it out in that sense, in terms of not allowing a tight end to score in a broken play. And they did it yesterday to Noah Brown. It was not Travis Kelce. And then Pacheco had the other touchdown, and then something clicked. So 3rd and 7, I think they were backed up basically in their end zone, and there was a penalty in the end zone, which forced the Chiefs to commit a safety. It was 17-2. Wilson, it was his first real good drives all the way down. They could have had a touchdown. They were very close. As I mentioned, it was that pass to Conklin, and he was able to escape the pocket, run out, throw it, was not able to make the throw. Conklin was so close to having a unbelievable diving catch. They had to kick it, 17-5. And then they will get the ball back. Ashton Davis had an interception. The Jets come back, roll back, score on a beautiful thrown ball by Wilson. Just a dart right to the shoulder of CJ Uzama. It was nice to see him score. You're 17-12. It could have been 17-15. I mentioned Zerline misses that field goal, but it goes into half. And then the Jets just storm 70-plus yards opening drive of the third. Wilson finds Lazard on a 3rd down, a beautiful thrown ball to Allen Lazard to get his first New York Jet touchdown to make it 20-18, and then a designed quarterback draw. Wilson breaks a tackle, dives in. Everyone goes nuts, 20-20. I didn't know everyone was going nuts because, as I mentioned, I legit muted the game. Maybe I didn't even mention it. But anyway, everyone was talking about, Taylor Swift, all of that. I didn't even have the game with sound on when it was 17-0. Maybe it was good luck. Who knows? They still lost the game, so probably not. But it was 20-20 after that. But I want to stop there. The Jets offense looked the most competent I've seen in a super long time. And it just shows that you got to play to the dude's strengths. He's not a guy that you want to just sit in the pocket and say, hey, just don't make a mistake. We'll win the game. No, that recipe is disastrous. It has proven to be disastrous. Take the training wheels off. Let him roll out of the pocket. Do some play action. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. The offensive line, whether you want to admit it or not, played pretty well last night, except for a few miscues. It's going to happen time to time, but that change of having Becton at left tackle and then Tomlinson in the left guard's position, McGovern at center, and then Tippmann on the right side at guard, and then AVT to right tackle. That has seemed like the best combination and the most successful. And they got to keep it going because I think Zach looked comfortable. I've never seen him really look comfortable in the pocket, but he didn't have to stay in the pocket. He was able to use his legs. He was able to roll out left or right because he's so good when he has more space. He makes better decisions that way. And yeah, 0 turnovers. Of course, the fumble in midfield at the end of the game was a tragic mistake. Do I think that cost the game? No. I think it would have been great, but unfortunately, that was the last time the Jets were even able to have the ball because it was a shit show ran by the refs at the end. And I am a guy who hates to blame the refs, but it's simple. The refs screwed up big time. 3rd and 22, Mahomes rushes for this 24, 25-yard gain. They call a stupid penalty deep in the field, I think, on Mosley when there was a clear holding. Like Jermaine Johnson was getting violated. He couldn't move. His jersey was being grabbed. He's trying to just move, show the ref, hey, this guy is holding me. I cannot move. It's a joke how that wasn't called. And then they call it on Sauce Gardner. Say what you want. Yes, Sauce is a physical player. He uses his hands a lot. I think, that's what does him so good. But when MVS is also going to commit with his hands, it's hard to call the penalty. And if they had called it during the route, I wouldn't have been mad. The fact that after Michael Carter II picked the ball off and then he threw the flag, that's BS. Because the only reason he did that was because Mahomes made a mistake and it actually was going to impact the game if he didn't call it. But he shouldn't have. He waited too long. If he wanted to call it, he should have did it mid-route. He did not. As soon as Michael Carter caught it, ran it, he threw it. That was those two penalties. And then the no intentional grounding. He wasn't throwing it to Pacheco. It was 20 feet, realistically 5-7 feet in front of him. He had to throw it away because he was getting sacked. So 3 just butchered calls at the end of the drive. The Chiefs were able to keep the ball for the final 6 minutes, and they secured the win 23-20. So, hey, this is a good sign. But I'm not going to give my hopes up completely that this is just the new Zach Wilson. We have to see it week in and week out. If he can do this consistently, then I definitely think the Jets will be able to surprise a lot of us. This is the team that could compete. This is a team that definitely should beat Denver, who has just a debacled defense overall. They were down 28-7. Yes, they did have a big comeback, won 31-28. By the way, against the Bears, who probably are. Not even probably are. They are the worst team in the NFL easily. And I like the Jets' chances there. And if they're able to do this, they should score 30 points. I love what Hackett was able to do. Did Rodgers' presence have something to do with it? I have no idea. I think his presence was the most important, despite how many celebrities were there. I think it really impacted the Jets being in meetings, talking to the players, just having him there in the facility. I think it really sparked some, a positive edge to the Jets. Zach Wilson looked like a brand new quarterback. He looked comfortable, and he looked like a guy who was back at BYU. He just transformed into the Zach Wilson that the Jets and Jets fans and the organization and the coaches all thought they were getting when they drafted him 2nd overall in 2021. So this is what they're going to have to do. They have to play the kid's strengths. They took the training wheels off, no going back. I would like to see them run the ball more, and I think they will in week 5 against Denver because they won't be down 17-0. I mean, knock on wood, let's hope to God not. But I think playing behind really hurt them in terms of trying to establish the run game, which they will be able to do because Breece Hall, he gets limited carries. The dude is averaging the second most yards, especially after contact, other than Devon Achane from the Miami Dolphins, who just looks like a rookie sensation, like a unbelievable player incoming. And so does Breece Hall. I think just the difference is he's not able to get into a rhythm and get a lot of carries, but I think that could change. The pass plays were great. They could add even a little more. I liked what they did. They got creative. They did these jet sweeps to Xavier Gibson. I don't know why McCole Hardman isn't out there. Not discrediting Gibson. I think he was great in that role, and I think he will be great in that role because he's so fast and he's so explosive. But why do you go sign Hardman then? I don't get it. It's like he's not even on the team. At least let the dude return a kick or something. I know you have Gibson at punt, but something. I was surprised that he wasn't getting the jet sweeps, but other than that, I thought that this game plan was very strong by Nathaniel Hackett. And, I'm not going to give everyone their roses right now because they got to do it again, and they got to do it again and again and again, and all the way up to January. If they want a shot here, if they want a crazy long shot of getting Aaron Rodgers back, if they're going to compete, because apparently he's telling NBC reporters that, his goal is to play this season. And the first thing is, yes, of course, his health. But the next thing is the Jets have to actually be in it. You look at it now, they're 1-3. Their gauntlet is almost over. So they play Denver in Denver. this upcoming Sunday. And then next week, they will host the defending NFC champions, Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be a tough one, but hey, the Eagles haven't looked all that great. Yes, they're 4-0, so it sounds crazy for me to say that, but every game has been close. I think the Commanders, if they were aggressive enough, they should have won for 2 and try to win that game and steal that game, but they did not. Lost in overtime, but the Eagles they're beatable. I think the Jets could at least compete with them if they were able to compete with the Chiefs. Of course, if all goes well. They got to do what they did again. It's no moral victories. Like, they still lost, and it still sucks, and they're still 1-3, and they're still in last place in the AFC East technically. So they got a lot to do, but it's a good sign. And I think we saw a lot of, if Zach is put in a good situation and he has his training wheels off and Hackett calls a normal game plan, just call it like Aaron Rodgers is the QB. Maybe not as, crazy, because Rodgers is one of the smartest quarterbacks and one of the best quarterbacks now and of all time, but don't limit him so much. Like, he's an NFL player. He was drafted 2nd overall. He obviously has the talent. He just wasn't able to show it. And I will be the first one to tell you that he has stunk for a long time. For 2 years, we have seen just very below average play from him. But sometimes you're going to say, hey, let the kid sling in. And I kind of was adamant about that coming into this week, because even against the Patriots, their offense was just so boring. It's been boring. So if they're able to do that, good things should happen, because their defense is pretty damn good. And they're going to get you turnovers. They're going to have to get after the quarterback a little better in terms of completing sacks, but they're going to get to you. Even though they let up a lot of yards, they were basically dominant after that first quarter. Like, you take that first quarter, like I mentioned, Mahomes had 99 yards in the second, third, fourth quarters combined. But anyway, with the Jets schedule, after Philly, you got the bye week, and then things lighten up. You got the Giants. You got the Giants in MetLife. You're the road team, but you're still in MetLife. You're going to have home fans. And then you have the Chargers on Monday Night Football in New York, and then Sunday Night Football the following week, you'll go to Vegas. All those teams are beatable. Giants losing record, Raiders losing record. The Chargers, I just think, are frauds in terms of just, they almost lose against a backup quarterback. I mean, nothing is ever safe for them. It seems like, oh, wow, they're up big, and they almost lose or lose. They've lost some heartbreakers already, close games. So the Jets could definitely be in that game and maybe steal that game too. So all those games are pretty winnable. A lot can change in a couple weeks. A lot can change. Who knows what we're talking about here? But the Jets are in an absolute must-win situation against the Denver Broncos. You cannot go 1-4. You go 1-4 going to Philly, I think, you're going to need a lot to happen in your favor. The Jets have absolutely no excuse. They are clearly a better team than the Broncos. The Broncos have the worst defense in the league. They gave up 70 points against Miami in week 3. And then Justin Fields, who has struggled mightily along with that Bears defense, put up 28 points. Justin Fields had 4 touchdowns. So this is a great week for them to have Denver improve, and build on it. Beat up on a bad team and prove hey, this wasn't a fluke on Sunday Night Football. Zach Wilson in his offense is going to start clicking. And if he can play like this, the Jets are going to win games. But obviously, it was a positive sign here for the Jets as they defeated the Chiefs The Chiefs defeated the Jets 23-20. I wish. The Jets were so close to having that game. Unfortunately, not able to get the ball back. They had the ball back. It would have been interesting what they were able to do. I think they could have scored. They would have had the momentum. It's a shame that it ended that way, but sometimes it happens. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the recap. Again, Chiefs defeat the Jets 23-20 in a game that was very encouraging, but no moral victories. They still lose. They are 1-3. They have a lot to work on, and they have a lot to prepare to come into this week against the Denver Broncos. As always, Joe Scurto here, your host. Please subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you actually like it. You could also follow me on Instagram and X at Turn Up the Jets, all one word. And I'm sure there'll be a lot coming up this week. We might get another episode. You'll for sure get a recap and a preview and a recap, rather, of this Broncos game coming up. And until next time, see ya.
Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you